All right, we're back for episode 6 of the Rehashables. How you doing, buddy?
Yes, good to be back. First one of 2024. Excited about this one because we're kind of getting into award season with all
That's right.
movies have kind of, the Golden Globes are Sunday, Oscars are in a few months, Emmys I think are in a few weeks. There's a lot of award stuff going on, and there's been a ton of campaigning. So my YouTube, I don't know about you, but my algorithm for YouTube is all just like movie stuff. So I'm just constantly getting these interviews and great stuff. So
You don't want to see what's on my YouTube algorithm. It's not.
It's all like end of the world IT stuff, conspiracy theories, Stanley Kubrick's behind the scenes of the moon landing filming.
Oh, great one! Saw a great one on that not too long ago. Are we living in a simulation? Stuff like that. No big deal. I don't think we're going to have any awards candidates, at least on my list, probably on your list. You have a different taste than I do. But it reminds me, we should do a pre-Oscar pod. That's the thing for down the road. But I might want to watch some awards-type movies.
Well, yeah. We'll talk my list. Like you said, I think our lists are very different because I have gone very award-heavy the last month. So I'm super excited about it, too.
Big award show guy. Yep.
Big award show guy.
Big foreign film guy, big award show movie guy.
Jesus. Wait until you hear my first movie. I'm gonna lose half the audience when we get into this, so it'll be good.
Yeah, that'll be the sound of everyone turning off their iPhones as we're recording. So hey, before we get to all that, I have a question for you.
Yep.
Do you think after 6 episodes you will have your audio issues sorted out?
It's been probably one of the more embarrassing moments of my professional and personal life. It is brutal. I couldn't even listen to the last few because the audio has been so freaking bad. Now we have triple checked. My mic is turned on. Because that's what it was last time. I had this new microphone. Really proud of my setup. I was excited about it, and it was on the webcam audio. Yeah. So, damn it all! If this doesn't work, I'm just gonna find a new profession and do something else.
Freaking amateur hour. I was gonna say I just do mortgages. You're a video guy that deals with audio. I don't know what else there is to say. I will say that the transcription software last time couldn't pick up a lot of what you were saying.
It was terrible. I was literally embarrassed. So it better be freaking working now. It's on. We've triple checked it. If this doesn't work, I think you might have to have someone else on the Rehashables and just impersonate me or something.
I'll have Curtis come on.
Yeah, perfect. That'd be a big hit. Like
all horror movies.
Yeah, you'd love to see what he's watching, for sure.
So, all right, let's jump into it, pal. I have 4 things. You probably have 47 things.
I got it down to 5.
You get started with the first thing. Oh, you got 5? Okay.
Yeah. So you want me to go with the first one?
I do want you to go with the first one. Yeah. I think
it's so funny.
Let's go with it. So we're on number 5. Worst thing to best thing, or best thing to worst thing, or just whatever?
Okay, so yeah, we're going to change it up this year. I think we should be ranking it. I think we should do best thing to worst thing.
Okay.
To me. So I'm going to be doing this in order. It's to the best thing I've watched to the least best thing I watched. Doesn't mean I don't like it, but I just think we should start with the best thing and work our way backwards. So that's what I'm going to do.
Before we lose everybody. Sounds good.
Yes. Well, you're talking about before we lose everybody. You said I'm a big award movie guy and I'm a big foreign film movie guy.
Everyone's already gone.
Everyone's gone. They've already checked out. Damn it all, the best movie I've watched in this last year. I don't even know if you've heard of it, but
last year or last month?
I'm sorry, the last month. Last month. Well, yeah, 2024. I guess the last year. It has this movie called Past Lives. Do you even know anything about this movie?
Never heard of it in my life. Can't wait to hear about it.
You seriously have never heard of this movie?
Past Lives?
Past Lives. It's nominated for everything. It's kind of been on everyone's like top 5, top 10 lists of things this year. It's an American movie, but from a South Korean female director. And basically, it starts off in South Korea. These young kids. I know.
Exactly what I would expect from you.
It's so good. I cannot emphasize this enough. Heather and I, we loved this movie. It was so well done. The woman who's in it, her name is Greta Lee. She's in The Morning Show. If you haven't watched that, she's nominated for everything this year. She's incredible. The rough concept takes place in South Korea when her and this young boy, they're like 10, 11, 12 years old. They're kind of like boyfriend, girlfriend, best friends, absolute, just like inseparable. But then her family moves from South Korea to Canada and end up leaving. They end up reconnecting years down the road, have this relationship over Zoom, really, really kind of love each other, but it just never connects. They go on with their lives. She gets married to this Jewish guy in New York City, and he ends up coming to visit her from South Korea. And there's this weird love triangle that's happening, but it's just so well done. And the acting is great. The ending is, we're crying at the end of the movie. It was fantastic. I love this movie so much. So, yeah.
How'd you watch it? Did you buy this movie?
I rented
it on iTunes? Is it on a streaming service?
Yep, rented it on iTunes. And again, take my word for it, whatever. I saw this movie on every single list. We watched the trailer. It caught our attention. And I'm like, we have to watch it. And we watched it and it surpassed my expectations. Wow. So I know we can't go into it a ton, but that was, I love this movie.
I feel bad. But it's not something I've seen. It wasn't even, I never even heard of it. So did you see it on Lights, Camera, Barstool, or what's it called? Lights,
Camera, Barstool. Those guys are the ones that I follow the most. Also IGN, also Variety. And those guys, every movie rating for this one was in the 90s for this one. And everyone was saying how much they loved it. It's not an action movie. It's a really good story with some really great acting. And the award season's coming up, and there is some unbelievable performances, but I'm really hoping she wins. Greta Lee, she was incredible. So
I think the reason why our list will deviate sometimes, and you'll be able to watch a movie like this, is because you and Heather are able to watch movies
at nighttime after Marion goes to bed.
Rarely, me and Tara are able to watch an actual movie, and we did watch something that I'll talk about. But I think that's the difference. The movies I tend to watch are things that I watch by myself, so tend to be action type movies, sci-fi type movies, stuff like that. So we will be separate on these kind of movies, but it's cool to hear about because, the last thing I watched with Tara was something that you had mentioned on this podcast previously. So it is cool to kind of hear about these new things that I was not exposed to. So I'll definitely keep it in mind.
Yeah. So that's my recommendation. It was great. And so that's mine. I'm anxious to see how they do at the Golden Globes next week. So.
Damn, I can't believe it's Golden Globes already.
I love the Golden Globes. It's so much fun. So
I'll check that out. Okay. Well, I don't have anything as cool and trendy as you, but I can talk about my favorite thing.
Yeah, what Middle Eastern movie are you gonna watch? Foreign film?
I feel like if I had watched Godzilla -1, it could kind of compete with what you just said. I have not seen that movie, and I would like to see it, but
it's only out in theaters right now. But the second that comes out to either buy or rent, that one's 100% moving to top of my list for movies.
Yeah, for a number of reasons. And that's about as foreign as I'm going to get. So I have not watched that. The thing that I have watched that I liked the most, and I feel like it's the movie that everybody has watched in the past month, and I think I liked it more than most people, and it's Leave the World Behind. I think you've seen it too?
Mm-hmm. So that's great, because this is my number 3 on my list. So my number 3, but let's dive right into it, because I love this movie too. So,
dude, I loved it. Great cast, number 1. Right, Julia Roberts. When's the last time she's been in anything? I mean, it hasn't been forever, but it's not like she's in a movie every year. Has it been 5 years?
She hasn't been. I don't check out her IMDb real quick, but she hasn't been in something in a long time, and it's just great to see her. You know what I mean? She's awesome. So it was great to see her. Mahershala Ali, Ethan Hawke. I remember Ethan Hawke real quick. Was on Simmons' podcast a few years ago. And ever since then, I thought he came across as so good and genuine and interesting. He was great. So I love these 3 main actors.
So premise of the movie, I might as well give it since you've seen it and we're not spoiling each other. But it's a Netflix movie, which is always cool. I always like what Netflix is doing. Whenever there's a new movie by Netflix with good actors, it's definitely something that I'm going to at least think about watching and probably watch it if it's like at all anything that's of interest to me. So the premise is Julia Roberts' character, Ethan Hawke's character are married. They live in the city, New York City, and they are, I don't know, not happy with life or whatever. They're going on a vacation. So that's the idea. They rent this place out on Long Island, I believe. I might be.
Yeah, Long Island or the Hamptons?
Hamptons. I don't even know what the geography of all those things. So anyways, outside of the city. And I think in the listing it says Leave the World Behind, and that's obviously where they got the title from. So they go out there. And then just weird stuff starts to happen. I think, what's the first thing? They just lose connection to their internet?
Well, the first weird thing, I think their cell phones stop working.
Yep.
And then they get the knock on the door.
Yeah, then they get the knock on the door. And it's filmed in this way. It just kind of creates a lot of suspense.
Whole time.
The music is very interesting. And then Mahershala Ali shows up. How do you pronounce his name?
Mahershala Ali.
I need to
Big
find a way
fan.
to shorten that.
Big
So,
fan.
anyways, he shows up with his daughter,
Mhm.
and obviously they're coming from the city. Something's going on. Everyone's not sharing the information that they have. But you start to question, is this guy who says he is? Does this guy have ulterior motives? And there's a lot of suspense built around that. End of the day, there's nothing wrong with those people. They're just kind of coming from the city to the house that they own, that they rented to these people. And now the two families together are kind of dealing with all these unexplained things, weird things with animals, weird sounds. There's a cool scene with some Tesla cars, which I thought was freaking awesome.
Mhm.
What else? Like there's plane scenes, boat scenes, a lot of weird stuff going on. And basically, what's happening is there's some type of attack on America, and you don't know to what extent it extends beyond the United States, but you do get this sense that there's a cyber attack in the United States, all this confusion, miscommunication, disinformation, and these people are just where they are outside of the city with not a lot of places to go and not a lot of information. And it doesn't end with that much information given to the watcher either.
You really kind of talking about the ending, because you're watching this movie, and again, even with the trailer, you don't know what's going on. You don't know if it's an attack. You don't know if it's, honestly, didn't know if it was aliens. I didn't know what the hell was going on for a good portion of the movie. And in the end, there's, I guess, maybe a little bit of clarity, or at least a conspiracy by Mahershala Ali, who his character, they're very wealthy. This house is also, if you're going to be shacked up in an area, in a place when the world's kind of, shit's hitting the fan, this place isn't a bad place to be. But I thought, his theory at the end of the movie, you kind of get a little bit of idea. He says that some of his clients, and he works in the finance industry, are very, very well connected. And he mentioned these three things. I just want to read it off, that kind of happen in order to overthrow a country. This is what people do to overthrow a country. First, they isolate. Is the first thing. No connection with anyone, no communication, can't talk, none of that stuff. Synchronized chaos. Things are just kind of happening. People are turning on each other. Don't know how they kind of can trust. And then the last one is a coup, or the collapse of the government. When the country's at its most weakest, you kind of can then overthrow the government. And so was it a civil war type thing, or was it the flyers came from in Arabic on the East Coast? On the West Coast, there was flyers in Korean. Was it a synchronized attack from multiple countries against America? Any theory about that?
I watched some YouTube videos about this, some great, some YouTube video channels that we talk about sometimes on the pod, breaking the movie down. And I don't think there's a definitive answer. It really could be United States enemies coming together to do a coordinated attack, Koreans on the West and Middle Eastern countries on the East, or it could just be one country just spreading disinformation by printing these flyers and dropping them off in different languages all over the country, so that a certain part of people think it's Middle Eastern people that are doing this, and another part of the country think it's Koreans, or, for all I know, Texas could have it all in Spanish, you know what I mean? Or but there is no real clarity on that, but it does speak to the idea of confusion, right? No one really knows what's going on when that stuff's happening. I listened to an interview with the director, and the director mentioned that someone had mentioned that they thought it could be aliens, and he's like, I mean, I guess it could be, because he doesn't really have a firm answer behind the scenes. But I think that's what I like about the movie, that it just kind of leaves things open. There isn't some happy ending. They do find some bunker, and it's probably assumed that the two families go down and they have plenty of food in the bunker. It's a safe spot. Like, for all I know, they could survive the next 20 years in this bunker because it looks pretty sweet. But there is a big shot of the New York City skyline before the movie wraps, and there's a big mushroom cloud in the sky. I'm not sure if that's meant to be a nuclear bomb or if it's just like a really big bomb, but it looked like a mushroom cloud to me. And I think planes fly over and drop another big bomb, and it just looks like all chaos is happening in New York.
Supposedly, I did, because I watched some stuff too. Supposedly it was an atomic bomb, because when she goes in the bunker, there is some kind of computer communication that says the White House is under attack by rogue troops. There are radiation levels in the air in highly populated areas, which then kind of goes ahead and makes you think that it's an atomic bomb.
It certainly looks like it. Part of me was like, well, if that's an atomic bomb, like, that skyline probably wouldn't be quite the way it is, but maybe it would be. I don't know. What do I know about atomic bombs?
Just Oppenheimer. It wasn't an Oppenheimer.
That's how much I know about atomic bombs there. But anyways, it was great. There was a little thing with the daughter of Julia Roberts and Ethan Hawke being really into Friends and wanting to watch that final episode, and the way that the movie ends, which I don't know that people love, but it was whatever. She found DVDs and was able to watch that last episode as the credits rolled.
That bunker setup, yeah, was incredible. The bunker setup was so good, and they did an incredible job with that. But I did watch some more videos on it too, and I kind of initially too like thought, all right, the Friends thing was a little, spot on, and ends abruptly, and this kid, all she cares about is watching Friends, and kind of looking back and watching some videos, it talks about how, and we're all guilty of it, is like we have this nostalgia of what we think the world was or is, and Friends kind of created this, it's an example of a universe that doesn't exist, that it's happy, it's light. And Julia Roberts says in the movie that we're all living a lie, we're all kind of pieces of shit to each other. There was deliberate shots of the beach that showed all the trash that was going on the beach, that we're just kind of destroying the planet and all this kind of stuff, and this little 12-year-old girl is just living in this nostalgia world that she created. And I thought it was interesting. It was interesting kind of take and subsurface stuff for the movie. It was really well done. I liked it a lot. Netflix has been crushing it. That one's not nominated for all this stuff, but I'm sure it was crushing the rankings and views and stuff.
So. I don't know that it is on a quality level to where it should be or would need to be nominated for any type of awards. But in terms of the story and the cast, that's going to be a movie that I'm going to watch every single time something like that comes out. So I'm glad to have checked it out. I really enjoyed it, probably more than most people.
And then the only other thing is we try not to have these conversations, off pod. But the one question I did have was the animal thing. And supposedly there was some kind of like maybe ecological disaster or something along those lines. But the animals, the flamingos in the pool, the deer all kind of coming around. That's where I almost thought it was supernatural. But that was one thing that I don't know if it quite hit the mark. They didn't need that part.
Yeah, I think it didn't fit in line with any of the other things. It was cool. Like those shots were cool. Yeah. The first time the daughter saw the deer on the edge of the woods, and then the camera lifted up and you could see like freaking 150 deer just back.
Yeah.
I thought that was very cool and definitely mysterious, but I don't know that it quite fit with some of the other stuff.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing, how about that noise? Which I guess was a thing that really happened in Cuba, I guess back in 2016 for U.S. troops or something like that.
I don't know as much as I should to talk about it, but my understanding is there's this thing called the Havana syndrome. And there was this thought that there were these energy waves getting targeted at people and giving them headaches and like the losing the teeth thing. I don't remember it being like an audibly loud thing, that caused it. I thought it was more like a silent type thing or like a hum type, but not like this loud noise where you have to like grab your ears and you're down to the ground. But like the idea that that's a way of attacking people through audio levels or whatever signals are being sent out. And that's the idea behind the kid losing his teeth, which I actually thought was a little bit supernatural at first as well. But I guess that's the explanation, is that the sounds thing made him lose his teeth.
I thought the director should have just used my audio from the podcast last time, and that would have been excruciating enough for people, and they would have went down to the ground covering their ears.
I think I lost a tooth after I was editing it last time.
It was that bad. So maybe in the sequel they'll do that. So,
dude. Cool. All right, I think we should move on to the next one. What do you got? What's your number 2?
Well, that's good. That's my number 3 movie, which is great. So crossing that one off my list. But I'm going to go my number 2 movie. Another big award movie right now. I'm so pumped that I watched this because I love this one. Was Maestro, Bradley Cooper's new film. He's where he plays Leonard Bernstein. Never heard of Leonard Bernstein. Not a big composer. We're not. We didn't like listening to a lot of classical music or composing music. But Bradley Cooper is just at that level now where I'm like, anything he directs or he's in, it just goes to the top of my list. Have you ever seen A Star Is Born?
I have not seen that.
I love that movie.
I mean, I know obviously what we're talking about, but
that movie was so good, and I think even better than this. But I just love Bradley Cooper, and he is so good in this. And Carey Mulligan, I don't know if you know. Do you know Carey Mulligan?
Just a name to me, man.
Just the name.
I recognize her, although I feel like I've seen her in the promotion of this movie. So, what else has she been in?
She's been in so many different things. You ever see Drive with Ryan Gosling?
I know what you're talking about. That's there couldn't be a movie further from my taste than
There's a movie she was in called Promising Young Woman that came out about 2 or 3 years ago, which is incredible. But she's nominated for everything, as is Bradley Cooper. It's so good, and it's a love story. And just not to like give anything away, but basically, Leonard Bernstein big composer. He's getting a lot of steam in the 1940s and 1950s and stuff, and falls in love with Carey Mulligan's character. But secretly / not secretly, he's gay as well. So he has a bunch of relationships with men. She knows about it, but it kind of complicates their relationship. It's so, again, an incredible story. This is what I'll say about it, if you people haven't seen it yet. The first 25 to 30 minutes are a little tough. It takes place in the 40s. The way they talk is fast. It's black and white. You don't really, it's a little tough to get into. Yep. Once it hits color around 30 or 40 minute mark, I think the story hits the ground running. And then the last
has a color reveal, kind of like Wizard of Oz style.
No, just like not like a Wizard of Oz type thing. It just kind of happens. It goes to color. Yeah. It does happen kind of abruptly. Like the scene changes, and all of a sudden you're in color.
Is there a reason why? Is it part of a performance? Is it?
It wasn't part of a performance. It was just almost like, I think it was showing time has gone on, because maybe a few years went.
I mean, it has to signal something, so that would make sense, I guess.
But the ending is so good. There's this scene. I'm not giving anything away, but there's this scene of Bradley Cooper composing an orchestra in a big cathedral. Took him to 6.5 minute scene. It took him 6 years to practice and master the composing, and like he was doing the real stuff. There's a real orchestra there. He's really doing it. It is shot so damn perfect, and he is drenched in sweat. I watched this scene 3 times. It was so good. I love it. God, I love this movie. So
that's awesome. What is this one on? I've heard of
this. This is on Netflix.
It's on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, all right. It's on Netflix. It's a Netflix movie, or it
would be considered a Netflix movie. It came out at like Venice or whatever. It was in select theaters, but then available on Netflix and stuff.
I bet you Tara would like this.
It's really good. Again, the first 25, 30 you got to get through, but the acting is insane. It's so good and really, really well done.
Nice.
So that's my number 2.
Love it, dude. Add it to the list for me.
Add it to the list.
Should I do my number 2?
Yes, do your number 2. Yep.
Let's do it. So number 2 for me is a movie, and it's a doc that you told me about, I think last time or the episode before, and it's called Volcano: Rescue from Whakarri.
Yes.
And that's on Netflix as well. And we didn't get a chance to dig into some of the specifics about it. We talked more in general about it because I hadn't seen it. We had this one night, I think, where were the kids? The kids were gone, and we were like, let's watch something. And we ended up watching, we were kind of in the mood for a doc. We started watching season 2 of The Bear, and we're like, you know what? I think we're kind of more mentally exhausted and ready just to watch a doc. So we watched that based on your recommendation. And I loved it, dude. I thought it was very good. It was kind of a heartbreaking story. Like, it really was. Like, just kind of a sad thing.
Terrible. Yeah. And I didn't want to give it away last time, but let's just, we'll talk about it. It was a story I didn't even remember in the news, really.
Me neither.
And it's like, if you think a volcano's going to erupt, I don't know. I always thought like volcanoes erupt slow, and you can no, you're screwed. You're screwed. There's nothing. We can't even fathom the heat and the pain that they must have been dealing when the volcano erupted.
I mean, different volcanoes might erupt in a different fashion. Some might be like a slow lava thing, but this one was a steam scenario. So basically this volcano is an island off of the coast of New Zealand. Yep. New Zealand, right? And so basically there's these tours, just like any freaking, I mean, these people were on a cruise, right? And they just did an excursion.
Some people were doing excursion from a cruise. Yeah, some people were, this was a huge local way of tourism.
Yeah, but like these, I think one of the couples that strike me were people that were on their honeymoon. I think they were on a Royal Caribbean cruise, and then they just did this excursion. Once they went to port, that would bring them to this island to dock and then walk. You could walk right up to the rim, see the kind of the volcano. And I guess this volcano had erupted 3 years prior, and then 3 years prior, and 3 years prior. And it was always this level of like steam coming off of it. And in hindsight, it seems so dumb to have gone to this thing. But basically, I think it was the 2 or 3 different, I think there's a helicopter tour and then 2 different boat tours that had people on the island at various levels of docking and walking or whatever. I think some people had already walked to the island, saw what they needed to, got back on their boats and were leaving. Some people were in the middle of it. The helicopter had landed, but basically the thing erupted. And when that happened, like basically people were sprinting to the coastline but it was just a big wave of steam. And like 22 people, I think, died.
Yeah.
There's a kid that his parents died and his sister died. And that he's older, like meaning his parents are he was probably in his 20s and his sister was probably in her 20s and his parents were, that maybe means like 50s or whatever. He never even found their bodies. They just freaking like, they got buried in something or they evaporated. Like no one's gone back to get them. There's that couple that their skin's basically melted. You can see all the scars they have, and they actually look okay considering what they went through. Like their faces are generally okay, but their arms and their whole bodies are torn apart.
I think he was in a coma. He was in a coma after once he got to the hospital. He was in a coma for like 3 days or 4 days.
I think like the one part of his body is his wrist where his wife was holding, and her hands a freaking mess from that. And again, there was a boat that was on its way back and they saw this happen, and there was views with their phones of the island as it was erupting. After it had just erupted, you couldn't even see the island anymore. It was just like this big like steam smoke thing, and in there is the people that are still left. Again, 22 of them died. Some people survived, run to the water. It's just a freaking terrible situation, but I thought it was a really good doc. It was worth checking out for sure.
Definitely. What a story. And you mentioned the kid that in his 20s lost his parents and his sister, and how just determined he is, and his outlook on things was so inspiring. It was a really, I don't want to say good story, terrible story that just shed light on these people. That's something I didn't know. And that's what I thought
definitely not a feel good aspect to it. It was just like basically the sharing of a story that I had never heard, and it's just another thing that's happened in this world. And they do not let boats back to that island anymore. You can maybe drive by it or something, but you can't dock anymore.
It was interesting how, obviously there's lawsuits against the companies as well as there should be, you know what I mean? But there were some takes like you can't deal with nature, or you never know what nature's going to. That was just like, that was crazy that people were on this island. And
especially that it erupted 2 or 3 times over the past 6 to 9 years on a 3-year cycle. It had been 3 years since the last eruption. Like, I don't know.
It's risk. Yeah. But the thing is, people like didn't even know that. You know what I mean? Like people they don't know all that information. You know what I mean? So anyway, I'm glad you watched it. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, again, not the most feel good, but definitely a really well done documentary.
Hey, if you're in the mood for a doc,
yes,
people are in a mood for documentaries from time to time. Add to the list. It's on Netflix, easy to watch.
Yeah, awesome, love it. Thank you for watching that.
What do you got next?
And I'm surprised. I don't even think you've talked about this, but it's another award circuit movie on Netflix. Have you heard of May December?
No.
You've not heard it with Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore.
Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Okay, yes. So it's called May.
I did not know the name of it. I feel like I've seen Julianne Moore stuff online and Natalie Portman stuff online, obviously in promotion of this movie, but I obviously didn't even catch the title, so whatever marketing they're doing is not getting through to me.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Again, they're trying to look here. Obviously, they're all nominated, all the people here, yeah. And it comes out as a comedy musical, which it kind of is. So here's the concept. I'll run it by you real quick.
Yeah.
So Julianne Moore is married to this guy much younger. When she was 36 years old, she ended up having a relationship with a 14-year-old boy.
Oh, is this based after Mary Kay Letourneau?
Kind of, loosely.
Didn't someone say that? Or I don't know if that's just like, maybe I read one random article, but
I think that concept is, yes. So that concept is based off of that story. But Natalie Portman is an actress who's going to spend time with Julianne Moore and her family because she's going to be portraying Julianne Moore's character in a movie. So she's an actress playing an actress in the movie.
Okay.
And it's filmed intentionally, almost like a bad Lifetime movie. The music is super cheesy. There are like slow like zoom ins on characters' faces. But Natalie Portman, Julianne Moore, and Charles Melton, who's the younger, not boy, because he plays a man in his 30s, are just incredible in this movie. And yeah, I mean, it's my 4th favorite thing I watched. There's definitely problems with it. It's a little strange, and the ending's a little kind of weird, but just for the performances to begin with, that's why I wanted to put on my list. It was May December, another Netflix movie.
Nice, dude. You were definitely hitting it hard on the award stuff, so I
like
told
it. You. But they're good movies. Like I know they're not like the highest grossing ones, but I feel like it's on a lot of people's lists for this movie. Watch the trailer, man. It's a good movie. So
I heard about it. I'm glad you mentioned it. So add that to the me and Tara list for sure.
Add that to your list. And I'm putting them in order though, as what I would recommend. But yes, this would be this is number
Past
4 for
Lives
me.
being the first one.
Yep, and Maestro close second. So that's that.
Love it, dude. All right, ready for my next one?
Yes,
I guess we'll just kind of crank along. But so for me, the third best thing I saw was a movie called The Creator, which you may have heard of.
Yeah, Denzel's kid, right?
I think it's John David Washington. You would recognize him from Tenet, which is a Christopher Nolan movie. He was the wide receiver in Ballers, if you ever saw that show on HBO with The Rock. I think that's where he first got his big break. I didn't even realize he was Denzel's son until Tenet came out, but he's the main character. Allison Janney's in it. You may recognize her.
I know Allison Janney, yeah.
Do you remember who Ken Watanabe is? Asian guy.
Was he in Inception?
He was. Asian guy.
Godzilla?
Yeah, so he's good. Couple other like that guy type people that you might recognize in there, but I'm not going to go too much into the story. But basically, it's a futuristic story where man versus AI, kind of timely given everything that's gone on in 2023 with AI and this like technological revolution. So there's a war between those two sides. I think it's based in like 2065. There's been atomic bombs. There's this kid robot that is kind of the key to the whole thing. And if you've seen any type of trailer or artwork to it, you have seen this girl, head shaved. She has this like hole in the back of her head sideways, which is kind of a lot of the robots have. And there's a love story mixed in. There's like a father-daughter type scenario mixed in. Is not the best movie, obviously not top of my list, the third best thing I saw, but I thought it was really good. I thought the trailer really got me when it first came out. I think it was in the fall. And I'm like, I got to see this movie. Obviously, there's no way I was seeing it at the movies. I barely get to the movies, and it wouldn't be for this one. But it was definitely on my radar since then. Gareth Edwards is the director, who you may recognize.
What else has he done?
Oh, man.
I know the name. I know Gareth Edwards. I know the name. I'm looking it up right now because the other thing I wanted to mention was the kid. She's getting like a bunch of, I don't know, she might be getting us a Academy Award. I'm looking right now. I don't think she's nominated for any Golden Globe, but I heard she was like incredible.
She had like a really good emotional performance. I thought she was great. She's probably one of the highlights of the movie. But the biggest highlight was like that, just the special effects and the way it was shot. I thought they did a really good job. Hans Zimmer is involved in some of the music, which anything he's in, I think is great. And I think it was filmed for $80 million. And I'm not an expert on what movies cost, but I know that there's plenty of movies that cost a couple $100 million that look freaking worse than this movie did at $80 million. I think they did a really good job with the way it was shot. So Gareth Edwards, real quick, Rogue One.
Yep. That's what he freaking did, which got him on the map. And he did Godzilla.
Yeah.
The two. So yeah, that's awesome. You know.
So yeah, he's done a couple good movies. I'll look forward to seeing what he does next. This movie just came out on Hulu, I think the 29th of December, so it's fairly new on there. So if you have a Hulu subscription, you can watch it as part of that. But if you're into sci-fi movies that have good action, filmed well, some good actors and actresses, I think it's worth checking out. So add it to your radar at some point.
Was it long? Was it?
It was not. It was not. If it was over 2 hours, it was barely over 2 hours. Because that's one of the first things I feel like I look at nowadays when I'm about to watch a movie.
Of course.
What am I committing to? And it was not like it wasn't like a The Batman type 2 hours and 45-minute, 3 hour type movie. It was probably right around 2 hours, maybe a little bit less. But very well done. Very cool.
My neighbor was just telling me about this too, and they loved it as well. So it is on my radar, and glad you watched it because it's like that movie is right up your alley. And the concept was interesting. I just remember from the trailer, right? The little kid was a big key to some bad stuff potentially, but the main actor gets attached to her, and it's really tough, right?
Yeah.
And
and there is more to it than I even would have thought given the trailers. You know, it's like there is kind of a touching story in there. You know, honestly, I think if it had bigger actors and actresses, that maybe it would have gotten more hype. I mean, I like John.
He's trying. He's been in a lot of stuff. They're definitely trying.
He's got a few leads in some good movies. But I think if it was maybe different actors and actresses, maybe he'll have his time. But if it was different people, maybe it would get a little bit more love. But I thought it was good for what it was.
Awesome. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. That's a great call. So awesome.
All right, what else you got? Number 4.
I'll go into my last thing. I'm completely shifting gears now with stuff. So this is a documentary series on Netflix. It's called World War II from the Front Lines. Oh, yes. I was kind of talking loosely about this. This is a 6-part documentary series.
So this is the last thing on your list? Wow.
Yeah. It's completely different. And the only reason it's the last thing on my list is just, it's such a different type of thing to watch. I mean, it's just so much different. It's a documentary series about World War II. So I'm not saying it's the worst thing I've watched. I actually probably would put it ahead of May December, but it's just so different that I just wanted to talk about it at the end. They have found all kinds of World War II footage that they have restored and made it color, and it is mind-blowing footage how good it looks.
Yep.
And it's also like the telling of World War II, which obviously you remember from history class and all that kind of stuff. And it was just, they did an awesome job of showing the start of World War II, what happened, the end, the conflict, the Hitler footage, the stuff they got. It was mind blowing. If you're any kind of history buff at all, you have to watch this, because this should be shown. Coach Currett is showing this in every single one of his classes at high school. I'm sure of it, because it's just so well
Although
done.
He teaches current events, and this
he doesn't do any. He does do any history. I feel like he would do history stuff. I could be
big
wrong.
Current events type movie. I don't know that he does. I think he does just current events, but I could be wrong.
Next time you have Coach Current on the pod, we'll talk if he does any kind of current event. He does more than just current events. I know that.
I don't know about that. He's definitely listening to the podcast.
He's listening. He's on your blog right now listening to this. It was so well done. And again, the footage that they captured, I almost want a documentary about the videographers or the people that they're filming it, because this was 1940s, and the footage and stuff that they got, I don't even know how they got this footage. It's just so well done. And just to see, again, this didn't happen that long ago. It was 80 years ago when this all went down. It's just nuts that these people were, the guys, men and women, were just as brave as they were.
It's crazy.
Pull a muscle walking up the stairs, and these guys were doing battles and going to storming beaches knowing they're probably going to die. And it's mind
storming the beaches. Are you kidding me? Those were insane. I mean, I've seen it in
Saving Private Ryan,
Band of Brothers, or
Saving Private Ryan,
like a storming the beach scene, beaches of Normandy. That stuff's crazy. We don't have people that are built like that anymore. You're just willing to run up on the island, and there's like a 90% chance you get shot in the head the second you set foot on the ground.
It's nuts.
That stuff.
And just also how much different warfare has changed in that time. You know what I mean? That was like the last, obviously some Vietnam stuff too, but war is just so much different now, and the machinery is so much different. And these were just trying to get as many soldiers as possible to overcome one area. And the Germany stuff was crazy. The Hitler stuff was crazy. It was really an eye-opening documentary. And I enjoyed watching it. So
I have a question about the footage. Does it just look like good footage from 1942, or do they have, I don't even know why I say 1942, the 40s, 30s, whatever it ends up being, or does it look like it might as well have been shot like a week ago? Or,
no,
it's not that good.
It's like old footage that is just colored really well. Yeah. And it's just weird to see young Austrian kids and people dressed up in their 1930s stuff, but literally color like you and I right now. You know what I mean? But you could tell it's very old footage. It was so good. So
that is very much on my radar. I've seen it and I've gone past it a few times, but I knew that I would get to it at some point, because
that's something you can just chip away at. You know what I mean? You watch an episode here, 20 minutes here, and just go back to it. Yeah, it's something you can totally just chip away at. That's the last thing on my list.
Awesome. All right, so got that. Where does Leave the World Behind fit for you in your list? Is that the third best? Is that better than May December or fourth?
Yep, better than May December. That was number 3.
Okay. So last thing for me, and you know what this is because you've seen it on my Instagram, but it was Rebel Moon, which is part 1 of a 2-movie series by Zack Snyder, also on Netflix. I think I might have talked about it on the end of our last Rehashables, and got a ton of hype leading up to when it came out. I think it came out on December 22nd. It was supposed to be Zack Snyder's version of a Star Wars type movie, creating his own sci-fi universe. I think he actually pitched it as a Star Wars movie to Lucasfilms or to Disney, and it just didn't work out. So he made his own thing on Netflix. Big miss on this one for me, unfortunately. Which is a bummer. People make fun of Zack Snyder for being just a one-trick pony with the slow motion stuff. Did it in 300, did it in some of the Justice League stuff or other movies that he's had, and you can very much see it in this movie. There's some cool slow motion fight scenes, and those are probably the peak. Outside of that, though, the dialogue, the characters, I couldn't tell you one character's names. Super generic. just a weird story. If you ever watch it and then watch some videos on it breaking it down, people make some pretty clear plot holes in it that just don't make a ton of sense. I've been told that Zack Snyder cut this down from a longer movie and got rid of the R rating to make it fit like this PG-13. Even then, it was still 2 hours and change. So it's not a short movie by any means, but he implied that there's a bunch more on the cutting room floor.
Is that like Zack Snyder's thing, where like every movie he does, in order for it to be good, it has to be the Zack Snyder cut?
Snyder cut, exactly. So I don't know if they were setting up for that because it was already starting to get bad reviews. So he started throwing that out there in interviews to make it seem like, oh, just wait till that version comes out, the R-rated Snyder cut, and maybe it'll be better. But what's out there is just not a great movie. Great visuals, few good fight scenes, some good slow motion stuff. Just not a great movie with a great story or universe that I really care about. I will say it is part 1 of a 2-part series. And part 2 comes out in April, so not that far away. They release this one in December. Part 2 will be in April, so just a few months away. Maybe it totally redeems it. There's a few outstanding threads out there. I know that I think there's other movies planned beyond this, maybe some comic book type stuff. So maybe this turns into a universe that's worth caring about, but I don't know that it got me hooked after the first one. And I'm actually I generally like things that I watch. Like, I give people the benefit of the doubt that create things. I'm like, you know what? It was okay. I'll give it a B plus. It was not the best thing I ever saw, but I see what they're trying to do there. And there were things I liked about it. This is probably like the lowest rated thing I can remember thinking about in a long time, in a couple of years, unfortunately. And maybe it's part of my expectations too.
24% rating on Rotten Tomato right now. 60% audience score. So not terrible. But I remember when it came out, I sent you a screenshot. It was at like 9% rating or whatever. And I was bummed to hear that too, because you got me all fired up by it. But yeah, man, maybe he can redeem himself, But, in April, I think that's about the time, not long after Dune Part 2 is going to be coming out, which will be epic. And that might be our first Rehashables movie theater seeing it together one. Because
I cannot wait to see that movie. I love that first one so much. And I feel like there's some similarities in the two in terms of like trying to build a world and this different planet stuff and deserts, and like there are some parallels. They're probably not exact, but like Dune was so good, and then this movie was just not. It's just funny how like that can change. It all really comes down to, I guess, actors and the script and directors, and just is what it is.
Well, it's good. I think the whole part of this, podcast, and when we talk about this stuff, it's not always things we love. You know what I mean? It's like, checked it out, it didn't quite hit the mark, and you said Netflix, right?
Netflix. Yep.
Yeah, they're crushing
it.
I
post my poll on Instagram after I watch things sometimes, and it's just like, what do you think of it? Did you like it? Love it? Just okay? Never heard of it? Honestly, 90% of the people that responded never heard of it, which is an interesting thing for me. So I would have thought the marketing would make it through. I feel like I would see it on the homepage of Netflix coming up soon, or maybe my YouTube algorithm was feeding it to me, but I was surprised by how many people never heard of it.
Your next poll is going to be, which one have you heard of more, Rebel Moon or Past Lives? And we'll see what people say about that one.
I'll be like,
cool. So is that your list?
That is my list.
Me too.
So it's all a month though, dude. A busy time of year. December is freaking insane. So the fact that we're able to watch all these things, I think is pretty cool. So I think I'll be able to watch a lot more things now that we're into January.
We're trying to watch a movie a week. There's some interesting documentaries out there right now, but again, with award season, I'm just kind of looking at the list. There's a few things that are coming out that are jumping to my list for this month that I can't wait for. So, what's getting a lot of attention, and I don't think we talked. I don't know if you've ever seen it because it's nominated for Best Picture for comedy. Did you end up seeing Air?
I watched part of it. I couldn't get into it.
Really? I am shocked to hear that movie's made for you.
Nike, Michael Jordan, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon. What? How do I not freaking absolutely love this movie? It might have just been my headspace when I tried watching it. I just couldn't get into it, dude. I don't know what it was.
It's like a good hour 45-minute movie.
It's on Prime.
Yeah, it's on Prime. So anyway, I noticed as I'm looking at the award show stuff right now. Hey, a lot of people, a lot of people's top 3 movies has been Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which has been really interesting. So that one gets on your list.
So as far as a quick rundown of things that I'm looking forward to, Across the Spider-Verse is actually high on that list. I almost watched it a couple times pretty recently. I think it probably happens soon. But have you seen the hype about True Detective season 4?
Oh yeah, Jodie Foster. It starts soon, right?
It starts very soon. Must be in the next week or two, because reviews came out today and it's getting like 10s across the board.
Really?
Saying the best it's been since first season, which I love the first season. I thought it was freaking
So I watched the first one, absolutely home run. Second one was not good. I never watched the third one. Yeah, second was Vince Vaughn
and Colin Farrell.
Rachel McAdams, my girl. Love Rachel McAdams.
I've never heard good things about it. Then your boy Marshall Ali.
Nailed it, crushed it.
Right,
and here, I heard that season was good. I just never watched it. But I also heard that this season of True Detective, is it taking place in the same? Is it connected to season one?
I don't know. I actually just assumed that all of them had some loose connection, maybe like a White Lotus type scenario where it's maybe that doesn't happen. Maybe these were all very isolated. I figured there would be like one call out or shout out or something in the background of something that would draw to the other seasons. I don't know the answer to that.
That's good. Okay. All right. So True Detective, Spider-Man, anything else?
That's it.
Me, I mean, again, such a, Poor Things. Emma Stone is like number one on my list. She's nominated for everything. People have said this movie's incredible. 100% jumping on top of my list. The fact, this one's a hard one. I have not seen, and we talked about this in the last pod, and I Killers of the Flower Moon. Is,
but it's not on Apple yet to watch. You have to
buy or rent it. You can buy it.
It's going to be on Apple at some point, right? I mean, I think I'm waiting for that to happen. I have no sense in paying for it if I pay for Apple Plus or whatever.
I can't get Heather 100% on board with that one, and it makes it a little harder to watch a 3.5-hour movie. So
there's no wonder you watch all these girl movies. It's because you're only allowed to watch movies with Heather. Like, watch a freaking guy's movie once in a while, so mix it up on this show.
It's true. All my movies are they're all very love stories and tearjerkers.
You're not allowed to watch movies on your own. It's basically what it comes
to. I just don't want. Yeah, exactly. I'm not allowed to do that. So, and then American Fiction. Have you heard about this one? Did Jeffrey Wright at all?
No.
Cool. So, Cord Jefferson is a director, first-time director. He was the head writer with Lindelof for Watchmen. So, nice. I've always had him he was just on Simmons' pod. It was an awesome, incredible pod not long ago. So those are some of the ones that are on my list. So
love it, dude. Okay, man, freaking months fly by. Well, it'll be February before you know it. We'll be doing it again, but I think that's a solid one to start the year off. So,
all right,
buddy.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's see how this audio is too. We'll see. I'll report back.
All right.
All right, see you, pal.